Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Elder Scrolls Online build video with me, Sherman. Today we are taking a look at the Shadow Guard Shadow Knight, or Nightblade tank. Wow. So as you guys can see, the stats on it are pretty good so far. Let's go ahead and take a look at the stuff here. But before we do go any further, I do want to say this isn't my atypical setup that I normally would play with this build. I actually play something a lot different normally, but for this particular one we are going for a more popular or meta type setup. We are the Argonian, and as you can see, our stats are 20 in magicka, 23 in health, 21 stamina. That gives us a really good spread on our stat pools. We have 21k magicka, 40k health, 22k stamina, and our crits are okay. It helps with the abilities we're going to be using. Our spell resist and physical resist might seem kind of low, but I do want to show you guys this real quick so you guys can see when this thing is fully buffed up. We actually go to, oops, wrong button. We actually go to 28. Now, the buff on this build only lasts for 13 seconds, so you have to keep one ability used quite a bit to make it really, really worthwhile. Moving on down the line here, we are using Ebon Armory and the Lord Mundus Stone for extra health. We are using Tri-Stat Food, which we'll take a look at over here. As you guys can see, we are using the Longfin Pasty and Melon Sauce. This gives you 4k health, 4k magic and stamina. It's probably any Tri-Stat Food, actually, at CP 150 that's purple is going to be the best. So just use that. And then potions. Tripod potions. Any tripod potion you can get is going to be amazing for you, especially on our Argonian, because of how much resources you get back. The ones you can buy from guild traders or craft yourself are going to be better than the Crown Store ones. Moving on to the monster set, we're using the Lord Warden. We're using this for the extra resistances it gives us. And when we're fully buffed and we have Lord Warden active, we actually go to 32,000 resistances, which makes this a really powerful tank build. It's very tanky, but it's also super supportive because of Lord Warden. Lord Warden's 2-piece also gives 3,870 extra resistance, spell and physical resistance, to our allies standing within 8 meters. So we are using a light and medium of that. We are wearing a 5-piece all heavy Ebon, because you can only get Ebon in heavy. And we're wearing that on the body, and as you can see, the 2-piece is max health, 3-piece max health, 4-piece is healing taken. Now, I do want to be clear on this. Healing taken isn't the same as healing received, but it works in the same category. It's just a separate entity. The 5-piece increases the max health by 1,118 for you and 11 of your group members within 28 meters of you. So as long as you and your group are within 28 meters, this will apply to all of you. So in most trials, this works great. The next set we're wearing is Powerful Assault. Now, the only reason why I chose Powerful Assault is you don't see a lot of tanks run Powerful Assault, and I wanted to make this tank to show you guys how much real good support you can actually give out. Powerful Assault gives max health, max stamina, and then weapon damage. And then the 5-piece, when you cast an assault ability, you increase the weapon and spell damage of up to 4 friendly targets within 10 meters by 164 for 15 seconds. Tanks are usually near stamina DPS, so increasing their damage output is really good. And sometimes some magic DPS. So it's a good idea to boost that weapon and spell damage. And even though it's only 164, this does also get the 20% or whatever bonus from pots and stuff. So it makes it a lot higher. We are using both sword and shield on the bar as well. Now we're going to go over the traits and the enchantments. On the bigger pieces, you're going to use tri-stats, including on the shield. On the big pieces, you're going to use Well Fitted on the helm, legs, and shield. This is going to reduce our dodge roll cost. On the chest, you're going to use Reinforced, and on the 4 smaller pieces of the body, you will use Sturdy. On the jewelry, we are using 2 Tri-Runes enchants for the max health, max magicka, stamina across the board thing. It's really good. 2 of them is all you need. and we're going to use 2 shield play enchants on those. We are going to be using the necklace infused with a potion cooldown. This makes that potion use every 37 seconds instead of 44 with the medicinal use passive. We are using 2 infused swords with crusher enchants, and this is going to keep our crusher uptime pretty well, usually about 80-90%. It's not going to be 100%, but it will be close to it. And then moving on to the skills. So moving on to the skills here, make sure you get all your class passives. It's going to be really important in the long run, especially the shadow ones. You really want to get Shadow Barrier, because whenever you activate your Dark Cloak, you will be giving yourself 13 seconds of Major Ward and Major Resolve. That's your physical and spell resistance buff. Now, the way that the Nightblade works is really different from a lot of other tanks, so you will be using this every 13 seconds regardless. Now, this costs you 3,705 magicka. Use it wisely. Like, don't spam this ability. Don't cast it every 3.5 seconds. Cast it only when the cooldown's needed. Moving on down the line, we are using Sword and Shield. Like I said, you are going to want to get all the passives on that. And then onto the armor, make sure you get the light armor passives, the medium armor passives, especially athletics, because this reduces your dodge roll cost by another 4%, taking your total dodge roll cost with CP and everything to 36%. Heavy armor, make sure you get all the passives. And then with the world skills, you can be a vampire. It's up to you. I chose not to be a vampire with this particular build because you don't really need it. I mean, it's good, but you don't really need it. Moving on to the guild skills. Fighters Guild, you only need this one passive, really Banish the Wicked, and that's if you kill an enemy. That's a werewolf, undead, or Daedra, you get 9 ultimate, so it's another form of ultimate gen. And to let you know, if you want to change Lord Warden out for Eben, you can. It works fine with this setup. So you can use Eben, Alkosh, or Eben, Powerful Assault, and the Blood Spawn helmet or monster set. Just make sure you get the light and medium. Moving on to the Mages Guild, we just have the Persuasive Will. Sigil Order, you want to make sure you get the bottom 2 passives of this. Concentrated Barrier, which is a blocking thing. Whenever you block, while you have a Sigil Order ability slot, you get a 5,800 damage shield. Really, really good. And the shield lasts until it wipes out, and then you have to wait 10 seconds before it'll come back, as long as you're not blocking. The next ability we have is Deliberation. This will be one that you'll use quite a bit because of this Deep Thoughts ability. Whenever you use Deep Thoughts, you will get 30% damage reduction. So very powerful buffs from these passives. Moving on to Undaunted, we do have Inner Rage and Bone Shield, but make sure you unlock the passives here. Onto your racial passives, make sure you fill out the racial passives. Mainly because the Argonian gets this one here. When you drink a potion, it gives you a lot of resources back. They also get 3% max bandage, you got 9% max health. Some disease resistance and poison resistance, which does apply to your resistance, your physical resistance. So when you're at 32k, you actually go to 33. Just over 33, almost 34. And then Quick to Mend increases healing done and healing received, which is awesome on this build. Moving on over here, Alchemy, medicinal use, amazing. You just want to get it because it reduces the cooldown of potions to 45 seconds. So, and then with Provisioning, you want to make sure you have Gourmand and Connoisseur. Alright, going over the skills on the bar, we are using Pierce Armor. This is our main ability we're going to be using to taunt enemies. It also applies Major Breach and Major Fracture, reducing enemies' spell and physical resistance by 5,280. With those Crusher enchants, we actually reduce their resistances by 7,000, almost 7,500. So that's a lot of resistance stripping we can do, if you will. Moving on to the next ability, Heroic Slash. This is a nice damage ability. It also grants hits the target with minor maim for 12 seconds. Now, the thing that sucks is minor maim only gets applied to one target. So it's very singular. So when you're playing a build like this, you want to be playing with another character who can apply minor maim in a greater fashion. It really helps. And you also grants you minor heroism, increasing your ultimate return by a lot. Now, the thing about playing an Nightblade is you don't need Bloodspawn, really, for the ultimate gen, because you have Catalyst. After drinking a potion, you gain 20 ultimate. And every 37 seconds, you're getting 20 ultimate. So, it's quite a bit. It allows for uptime of Warhorn a lot. The next ability we have on our bar is Spiked Bone Shield. Now, I would normally go with Bone Surge, but because this particular class doesn't have anything that redirects damage or deflects damage by a greater amount, Spiked Bone Shield's just really good. It absorbs 34%, or gives you a damage shield for 34% of your max health, which, if you see, that is a 14k damage shield. And when you block, it goes to 19,018. So it's like, or 19,812. So it's a huge shield. So it's a really powerful shield. But on top of that, any damage it absorbs, it redirects that damage, as long as it's direct damage, back to the enemy at 38%. So it redirects 38% of the damage it absorbs back to the enemy. It's really nice because it helps you do a little bit of extra damage while doing this stuff. And on top of that, it's also a synergy. So, and that synergy, when somebody activates that synergy, they will give themselves and 3 others a damage shield that absorbs 116% of their max health for 6 seconds. Moving on to the next ability, Dark Cloak. This is a new morph in the Shadow Tree, and this is the one you're going to be using to give you your buffs. If you guys look, cloak yourself in shadow to heal for 32% of your max health over 3.5 seconds and gain minor protection, reducing the damage taken by 8%. You're going to want to keep this up every 13 seconds, like I said, because this is what's going to give you the minor ward and major ward and major resolve. So you're going to want to keep this up as much as you can. And as you can see, it does use a chunk of Magicka. So, but your Magicka should have returned by then. The cost of it should return by the time you need to recast it. Usually I wait until it's down to about 2 seconds. And then I'll recast. So that way I can keep it up. The next ability we have is Deep Thoughts. This is just ridiculously kind of overpowered. I don't want to say it's too overpowered, but it is. You will remain in a meditative state until you toggle this ability off or are interrupted. So you can't be taken out of this, except unless you're interrupted. Now, focus your body and mind into a meditative state, healing for 1806 health and restoring 1,914 magic and stamina every 1 second. The best time to use this is right after you use this ability. Now you're probably wondering why. This gives you 8% damage reduction. This stacks with Hardy and Elemental Defender. When you activate this, that's another 30% on top of it. It's a 50% damage mitigation while you're floating there. It's super powerful. And that's from the Acidic Order passive. Moving on to the next ability on our bar is Shield Discipline. Shield Discipline is a really good defensive ability because it allows you to block for 7 seconds with no cost to your stamina. On top of that, you can use it to get resources back by using heavy attacks, and you could, if you time it just right, you can also do 3 heavy attacks and a heroic slash, and that heroic slash isn't going to cost you a dime in resources. Moving on to the back bar. Back here we have Inner Rage. Now Inner Rage is a ranged taunt. It is also a synergy. So if it procs, so it does a little bit of damage. It taunts enemies for 15 seconds, but a ranged ally targeting the taunted enemy has a 38% chance to activate the Radiant Synergy, dealing magic damage to them over 2 seconds. And then it additionally 5,166 magic damage to them and other nearby enemies. So it's a really kind of decent ability. The next ability we have here is Silver Leash. Like I said, synergy, important. Silver Leash, fire a Dawn Guard's crossbow hook to pull an enemy to you, dealing 4,135 damage, and reducing the movement speed of the target by 40% for 6 seconds. The thing is that this is instant. So as soon as you cast this, it fires, it hits target, pulls them to you. And you can keep that target on you pretty easily. Now, the bad thing, downside of it is, it doesn't return the cost like Chains does from the DK. So even if it doesn't pull the target, it will reduce their movement speed, which is kind of nice. Moving on to the next ability, we do have Resolving Vigor. We have this here to activate Powerful Assault. And this is our a kind of costly stamina ability, along with Bone Shield, can really mess with things. But with the way this build's set up, you should never have resource issues. So, not saying that you won't, but you should never. So Resolving Vigor is a heal, and it heals you and your allies. But the nice thing is that when you proc this, you'll see that our weapon and spell damage go to 1499 and 1709. This also plays on us really well because it also gives us another buff for that back bar, from that back bar, to where we can do this, swap to the front bar, and then if we want, we can activate that, and we're going to get stronger heals from our Dark Cloak. So, and it's also going to give our allies that extra health. And as you can see, when it's buffed up, you get greater heals. So it's kind of nice. Always try to keep Vigor up too, as much as you can, because this is going to be like your main, like, stay alive thing. Besides your blocking, your Bone Shield, and your Dark Cloak. So the next ability we have is Mirage. This you're going to keep up all the time. As you guys can see, this thing lasts for 26 seconds. This gives you major evasion. So you get an increased dodge chance by 15%. It also gives you minor resolve and minor ward, increasing your spell and physical resistance by 1320 for 26 seconds. Now, a lot of people know that combat prayer is going to be used a lot, and that's also going to put that on you, the minor ward and minor resolve, but a lot of times it doesn't reach you. So this allows you to apply it to yourself. It makes the Nightblade tank, resistance-wise, the best tank in the game, with resistance survivability. Because of this and the way its buff works and everything else, it's very powerful. It just doesn't block as much damage as the DK. The next ability we have here is Leeching Strikes. This is for stamina resource management. This one, Soul Stealing, this one, basically you activate it, it's gonna, anytime you do a light or heavy attack, it's gonna heal you and give you so much, 106 stamina. But basically you have it here to let it wear out. When it wears out after 20 seconds, you're going to get 4,270 additional stamina back. So you're going to want to keep this up quite a bit. And it practically costs you nothing. The next ability on our bar is Aggressive Warhorn. And this is the final ability. I mean, this is like the big dog ability that you're going to be using most of the time anyways. It's going to give you and your group members max magicka, health, and stamina by 10%. It's going to increase that. It's also going to grant Major Force, increasing critical damage done by for 9.5 seconds by 15% to your allies, and it does help for you too. So, all right, and that is the skills, guys. Now we're going to go ahead and jump into the CP, and the CP is set up just like most of my other tanks. 56 in the Ironclad, reducing damage taken by 20%. 23 in the Thick Skin, reducing damage taken from damage over time effects by 10%. 56 in a Hardy and Element Defender. Both of these giving you 12%. Remember where I was talking about the minor protection for 3.5 seconds from Dark Cloak? This stacks with this and makes it a 20% damage reduction from Flame, Frost, Shock, and magic damage, and poison, disease, and physical damage. That minor protection does not stack with Ironclad. Like on to Ironclad, it only stacks onto Hardy and Elemental Defender. So that's why we have 12% in here. So that's a 20% damage mitigation. When you add that the major protection from Meditate, that's a 50% damage reduction. Then you add the 50% damage reduction from your resistances. you mitigate 50% of the incoming damage with your resistances, and then another 50% with your reduction. So that means you can reduce the damage by almost 80%, or actually it's 75%. A total of 75%. That's as good as blocking. Almost as good as blocking. Moving on, we have 40 into Bastion. This increases the effectiveness of damage. Shields by 16%. Quick recovery, 19 points, giving us increased healing received by 5%. That 5% does stack with the Argonian's base 5%, which makes it a 10% increase. Then you add the healing taken, which is another 4%. And then you add the healing received from heavy armor passive, and that is a 22% healing received. Moving on over here, we have 56 in the Warlord, reducing break-free cost by 20%. 23 in the Bashing Focus. This stacks with the reduced cost bashing thing, the shield playing chance. So our bash is like super cheap. 23 points. You do bash, by the way, in here for that 14%. We have 3 into Sprinter, reducing sprint cost by 2% because we have no place to put those 3 points. Moving on to the next tree, we have 43 into Tenacity, and then 44 into Tumbling, reducing dodge roll costs by 17%. I guess I need to go over Tenacity, too. This just basically makes your stamina returns 10% better, so, on heavy attacks. 44 into Tumbling, reducing dodge roll by 17%. Like I said, wearing those 3 well-fitted makes it 15%. You add another 17% to it, plus the 4% you get from wearing 1 piece of medium armor. That's a 36% reduced cost in dodge rolling. That saves you a lot of resources. Next, we have 81 into Shadow Ward. This reduces block costs by 24%. With the 4 sturdy and the 2 shield plays, our block is almost, it's below 100, or below 1,000. So, I don't know the exact number right offhand. Moving on over here, we have 76 into Bless. This increases our healing done by 14%. 56 into Elfborn. This is going to make our Dark Cloak pretty much just heal us for a lot, if it crits. That's another reason why we want to make sure we have Spell Precision, is that 12% healing received. We do have 40 points into Mastered Arms to give us Reposit. This helps us direct damage, more damage back to the enemy if we don't dodge the attack. Moving on over here, we have 43 into Mighty, 34 into Precise Strikes. Not quite as much as the other one. You could take out of Mighty and Piercing and just put it in, put it into Precise Strikes, taking it up to 56 and taking this up to, say, 66 and try and get this up to 66 if you wanted to. So that way you would have a 12% chance to heal yourself and allies, which would make those things better, like your vigor and everything else better. I just like this setup because I do like to make my tank do a little bit more damage, so I don't feel like I'm not, really able to play the game anywhere else. Alrighty, so that is that. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the build in action, so you guys can see for yourself. So we're going to take the build and go over to the Maw of Lorcash. We're only going to go in here on normal mode, because this is just a general idea of showing you how well this build can work with mitigating damage. Now I'm going to have like 8 enemies attacking me, and like I said, this is just an idea to show you how much damage this thing can mitigate and how survivable it really is with resource management and everything. And I can just stand here and take a beating forever. So if I wanted to, I could even let the Bone Shield kill these guys. It's that good. Or yeah, the Spike Bone Shield. Let's go in here. Now, I didn't get a chance to test this yet in an actual, trial environment. I did get a chance to test this in a dungeon environment, and in the dungeon I tested in, it worked out pretty well. It was City of Ash 2, so it worked out really well in there. I didn't try it in any, Fang Lair and all that, and that's because the people I was playing with at the time didn't want to test it in there. So basically what you want to do is make sure you keep Vigor up, that, and then, I'm going to let them strip that shield so you guys can see how well Dark Cloak can heal you. I'm going to let them do some damage to me. I'm going to pop Mirage again. Now, I don't have any extra resistances. This is just my base resistances. This is just the 26,000, 27,000. I have this is just Minor Ward, Minor Resolve, and Lord Warden. Now, I'm going to pop my Dark Cloak, And that's going to take me up to the 32,032. So now I can just stand here and these guys can hit on me all day. And still, look at that. Look how little of damage they're doing. If I throw up block, they're practically doing nothing in damage, guys. Like, none whatsoever. And if I do my meditate, watch this. Just meditate alone, I can heal myself with. I don't even need anything, really. And I know this is on normal, but it still gives you guys an idea. I mean, there's what, 1, 2, 3, there's 4, okay, 7 enemies attacking me. And if I wanted to, I could bring some of them a little closer. Go ahead and get my Mirage back on. I'm going to go ahead and use that now, and then pop. And then watch this, guys. I'm going to go ahead and throw this out. And then I'm just going to heavy attack. 1, 2, 3, and then Heroic Slash. And as you guys saw, it didn't even cost me anything. Like, it worked out perfectly. So. And that thing, one just wore off. I just went up to 12k. I can use my Bone Surge, use this, and then go into Meditate. Go back into block. I haven't even used a potion yet. Like, that's how good this build is. It is that good. I'm gonna go ahead and get my resources up a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and show you this build with Warhorn up, so you guys can see for yourselves. I'm gonna drink a potion. You guys just saw I just went up to a lot right there in resources. I'm almost at my point where I can use Warhorn. Now we got Warhorn. I'm gonna pop it. Now watch what happens when I use all my abilities. So now I'm at 24k stamina with 23k magicka. Now watch when I use my Bone Shield. That is an 11k shield, guys. That's over 20k in damage shields that they got to strip off of me. That's just crazy. And with Dark Cloak, all that stuff, and Lord Warden going, like I said, it's just crazy powerful. And you can see those enemies taking damage when I have my Bone Shield up. Watch. See them getting hit for damage? Yeah. It's not a lot, but it's still something. So. And if I wanted to, if it was normal, like this trial and normal like it is now, like this tank will just chew through this place. So now that we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and throw myself to my death. I just wanted to show you guys, like, this thing is really disgusting how powerful it really is in resource management, all that stuff. But yeah, that's the Shadow Guard, guys. It's a really, really cool build. It's a lot of fun to play if you're looking for something that's different from your atypical meta setup and everything. And like I said, you guys just saw that. I was like halfway on both my magic, stamina, and my health, and I just popped that and went to almost full. Like, Argonians are disgusting with potions. So, but again, it's a matter of how you play the build and how well you are of understanding the build. If you're really understanding the build, this build is super OP. But that is the Shadow Guard. So if you guys like this build, hit that like button. If you guys want to see more builds by me, you can hit that subscribe button. Other than that, I want to thank you all for watching. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and this guy might see you in game. Bye.